We see a lot of idiots around here. Now, keep in mind that an idiot, by definition, is an utterly foolish or senseless person. And that clearly describes a lot of theists. Just because it makes you happy, that doesn't make it so. Therefore, we're going to see a particularly noteworthy example today, and let's be honest, rip all of it to shreds. Because that ought to be fun, right? So today we're going to take a look at a segment of a talk by Eric Hernandez. Now, to be honest, I have never heard of this guy before, but I stumbled across this video and I just had to take a look. This is why religion looks so dumb to people on the outside, at least educated people who actually care about the truth. This is one of the more ridiculous things, I think, that we've ever looked at around here, not because it's completely incoherent, which mostly it is, but because I think he's actually trying and failing miserably. I'm pretty sure he's serious, and that's the sad part. It's sometimes hard to tell the difference between an insane theist and a Poe, but this one seems legitimate. And that's really dumb. So let's go take a look.
Whatever is true of the mind must be true of the brain. In philosophy, this is known as the law of identity.
But that's not true at all. Everything Eric says from this point forward will display his complete ignorance of, well, absolutely everything. The law of identity says that a thing is identical to itself. A equals A cannot not equal A. The mind is not the brain, and the brain is not the mind. Those are two entirely different things. The mind is an emergent property of the physical brain, but it is not the brain itself. And that's why he's talking so fast, because he wants to get past this blatant falsehood before anybody calls him on it. Now granted, he probably doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. And that's not at all a surprise for the religious. And if you look down in the comment section of his video, they're spending all of their time telling him that he's an idiot. Which, of course, he is. But we can continue and see just how bad this gets, because, trust me, this is gonna get bumpy.
We'll put it this way. Suppose you walk into a lab, you see 2 bottles of clear fluid. Based on this law in philosophy, if they're the same substance, whatever is true of one is true of the other.
And in a second, he's going to prove that he's lying. This is one of the very rare videos where I've actually seen the whole thing before I start to write my script. Eric apparently has a very short attention span. If indeed both of them are the same substance, then yes, whatever is true of one, so long as they both remain the exact same substance, it would be true of the other. But that's about to go away. Just watch.
But let's say one is water and the other one is chemical X, but the label's ripped off.
Then they're not the same substance, are they? So why did you start this off by talking about the law of identity when you're now talking about two completely different things? Because Eric is a fucking moron. Now, granted, this is part of a larger presentation. It could be, I suppose, possible that whoever edited this video included parts from a previous point, but in context, that makes no sense. It sure looks like he was trying to underhandedly slip in an idea that has absolutely no application here, doesn't it? But let's let him keep making a fool of himself, because they're all good at that, aren't they? I don't think that's going to be much of a challenge.
So we think, well, they're both fluids, they're both clear, they must be the same substance, until you turn over chemical X and it says caution flammable, and you think, well, I know that water's not flammable, which means even if I don't know what chemical X is, at the very least, I know that they cannot be the same thing. Are you with me?
You know, I'm really struggling to find a point here. two things that aren't the same, well, they aren't the same, are they? Okay, so what? Because I think you're going to be asking yourself that a lot coming up. What the hell is he talking about? And why the hell is anybody watching this crap? I don't even think that Eric knows that, because, like most apologists, he's just flapping his lips incoherently, trying to find a way to con people out of their money. After all, I highly doubt that he's up there doing this for free, and whether any of what he says has anything at all to do with reality, that doesn't seem to matter much, does it? This is the point at which I'm wondering if he can get any dumber, with the unfortunate realization that, yeah, I'm absolutely sure that he can. But let's see.
Now, with this in mind, if what my professor is saying is true, then whatever is true of the mind must be true of the brain. But if I can show something true of the brain that's not true of the mind, well, they can't be the same thing.
First off, nobody but you said that they were the same thing. This is a false claim up front. Secondly, what the hell does that have to do with your water example? He starts by saying the mind and the brain are the same thing, which they're not. Then he throws out a non sequitur about water and some clear chemical, which is just stupid, only so that he can agree that the mind and the brain are not the same thing, which is what we've been saying all along. What a dumbass. It's like he's so stupid that he's incapable of realizing just how stupid he is. And that's sad.
In other words, if atheism is true, I asked an atheist this, would you agree that if atheism is true, non-physical things should not exist? He said yes. I said okay.
Except that's dumb, because non-physical things do exist. Energy is non-physical, at least in the sense that he's talking about. This is where I'm calling bullshit on the whole thing. I don't know who he talked to, but it sure wasn't an atheist. I think it's clear that he's just making this whole thing up because his audience isn't that bright, any more than he is. They're not going to catch all of the copious factual errors and logical fallacies that he's spewing because they're pretty stupid. And he doesn't care either. This guy is an imbecile. 1 minute into his video, and he's already proven it conclusively. But let's see how bad it can get by the end, shall we?
But that also means if something non-physical did exist, well, then atheism would be false.
No, it means absolutely nothing of the sort. Look, another religious wingnut with no clue what atheism is. Of course, this is a very common misrepresentation of what atheism is, because the religious are really stupid or dishonest. Pick one. They're just making things up in their heads because they're really only concerned with the emotional foundations of their beliefs, not whether any of it is actually true. Who cares about that, right? Certainly not Eric Hernandez.
So we could put it this way, if atheism is true, consciousness must be physical, but if consciousness is not physical, well then, again, atheism cannot be true.
And nobody says that. Nobody at all. This is what happens when you wear your ignorance on your sleeve. You just look stupid, mostly because you are. He misunderstands absolutely everything, and he clearly doesn't care. Again, if you go down and look at his performance in the comments, he's continued to make a complete fool of himself, no matter how many people have explained to him just how wrong he is. Even other apologists ought to be embarrassed by this dipshit. This is just pathetic.
So the question is consciousness physical? And the answer is no. Here's why, briefly. Take the mind and brain. Are they the same thing? No, your thoughts are not in your brain, they're in your mind, but your mind uses your brain like a guitarist would use a guitar. The notes of the guitar are not in the guitar. You don't break at the guitar and the notes fall out. Same thing with the mind and brain.
All right, let me ask you something. Is there anything that this guy actually understands? Notes come from a guitar when you strum the strings because the strings vibrate, causing disturbances in the air which produce sounds when played against a surface that picks them up, like your eardrums. Differently pitched strings cause different sounds, and as you lengthen or shorten the vibrational properties of the string with your finger, you change the sounds that are produced. This is like not even high school level stuff. This is stuff a 10-year-old ought to know. That doesn't say anything good about Eric's mental capacity. Sounds are produced, no matter what instrument you're talking about, by vibrations interacting with the air and producing sound waves, which then play against your eardrum, and that's how you interpret those as sounds. It works for your vocal cords too, and that's how you produce speech. But Eric doesn't seem to get any of that. To him, it's like magic, because Eric is a fucking idiot.
But let's hear how they're different. My thoughts can be true or false, but my brain isn't true or false.
The contents of your thoughts can, I suppose. The thoughts themselves, though, no. They exist or they don't. That has nothing at all to do with being true or false. I think that in this case, we can be pretty sure that there are no thoughts going on, no intelligent thoughts at least, but so long as those electrochemical processes are going on in that 3-pound meat sack in your head, then yeah, sure, thoughts of some sort are probably occurring, and those thoughts can be true or false, depending on their contents and how you look at them. Does any of that get Eric anywhere intelligent? Yeah, I wouldn't be holding my breath.
My brain can weigh 3 pounds, but the thought that I'm talking to you right now does not weigh 3 pounds.
And welcome to the fallacy of composition. Because what's a theist without tons and tons of logical fallacies falling down around their ankles? They don't know how to operate otherwise, and frankly, I don't think they give a damn either. This is all about feelings and never ever ever about the facts. It's why they spend so much time making complete fools of themselves, just like Eric here is doing. So he started off with a false claim that nobody holds true except the dumbass religious. Then he proved that he had no clue what the hell he was doing with the water comparison, and now he's trying to say that atheists think things that have nothing at all to do with atheism because Eric doesn't have a clue. I'm not sure that he can wipe his own ass without help at this point. But let's let him finish up, and then we'll tear it all completely apart in the end.
You may be having heavy thoughts this morning, but you're not going to buy a neck brace when we leave the church. My brain can be 7 inches long, but the smell of a rose or the taste of a banana is not 7 inches long. And there's a lot more I can go through, but the point is simple. If all the properties of the brain are physical, and other properties of the mind are non-physical, then consciousness, if it exists, cannot be physical. So, Mr. Atheist, if consciousness exists and can't be physical, and if you have consciously decided to become an atheist, then you shouldn't be an atheist because atheism can't be true.
This guy isn't just wrong, he's fractally wrong. And that's the state of being wrong at every conceivable scale of resolution. It doesn't matter how you look at it, everything that he says is wrong. But he doesn't care because he's talking to other people who also don't care. They're all fractally wrong too, because these people don't actually care about anything but their own feelings. They just want to be happy. And if it takes believing complete nonsense to be happy, well, they'll do that without complaint. But that's downright idiotic. Just like Eric is. It's where you get con man apologists who lie for a living because they know that their audience is downright stupid. Or maybe they're just stupid themselves, I don't know. Sometimes it's really hard to tell the difference. The fact that there are so many videos like this on YouTube just makes religion look more and more ridiculous. I mean, how dumb can these people actually be? Every time we think we found the bottom of the barrel, we find somebody like Eric, who is so ridiculously ignorant in everything that he said that the entire planet collectively rolled its eyes into the back of their heads. Yeah, I know. There are worse theists out there, but this is still painfully bad. Eric won't be able to get that through his head, though, because he's not really using it rationally, is he? That's kind of sad, right?
Bum